because I don't feel like it.
You can do what you want to do.
I do what I want to do. All right, so we're live out there on YouTube. Welcome to Warrior Mindset. Don't forget, not that you'd forget if this is the first time you're listening, but we have two sponsors. We have Tacticalories. Check them out. Really great seasonings if you're into grilling things.
I still find it crazy that I went to high school with him.
Yes.
It's a weird, small, tiny world.
It's a very small world.
Like,
Yep.
literally graduated like 70 people in my class.
70.
Yeah. It was less
I
than
was about
70,
the
I think.
same.
It was
I
tiny.
was about the same. I think we had
It's crazy.
maybe 50 or 60. Yeah, 70.
He was a
something
couple grades behind me, but
like that. Yeah, Casey's awesome dude. Makes some really good, tasty seasonings.
he's got a new line coming out too.
Of what?
I think it's like meats. Like
I believe it. I believe it.
Anyway, I just
The dude
hijacked.
likes meat.
Maybe I'm a little hungry.
And then also Strike Force Energy. Either one of those, if you buy the products, you use Warrior Mindset when you check out, and we get a little holler back. So got Heather get with us again today. We've done the entire Seal Fit thing. Today's 9/11.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. So do you remember where you were?
Yep, physics class.
Physics class.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. I was not in school anymore.
I was gonna say, I'm like, aren't you in school?
I was at my job.
I was. It was my senior year in high school.
Okay.
I graduated in 2002.
Wow.
Because it happened that fall, so I graduated the next.
Yes.
Yep. I was sitting beside. I remember who I was sitting with too. David Bessler. He drew pictures all the time. I actually have some of them still.
Oh wow.
We all kind of hung out. Me and a bunch of dudes, which is kind of not surprising, probably.
Yeah, I was at work.
You're at work.
Yeah, and my boss had a TV, so
oh man,
we were in cable or whatever. We thought we were cool, but we were watching it unfold. It was kind of like, what's going on?
Yeah.
Who is that? We were making all the assumptions about who it could be and stuff.
Yeah.
We just watched the whole thing unfold. My wife, actually, she was my wife then, still my wife now.
Good job.
Yeah. She was on an airplane coming home from Amsterdam.
Oh, crazy!
Was in the air, and they turned
Landed
it around and went back, and then she tells a story about when she was on the airplane, they didn't tell her what was going on.
Oh yeah.
They were just like, they were actually like, something's wrong with the plane. I'm like, that's probably worse if you're in the plane.
Yeah, because you don't. Right.
What's wrong with the plane?
I want the plane to land.
But, yeah. So they.
Oh wow.
And she said they landed, and there was like, police and like clergy and stuff, and she was like, "What in the hell's going on?"
Wow.
And then they were stuck in Amsterdam for like a week.
Oh my.
There were no.
Yeah, I remember.
There were no hotels,
everything.
nothing to stay in either. I think they slept in the airport one night, but.
Yeah.
Like, and now here I am.
That's
like,
intense.
Do I need to come? So I had a plan. They were
get a
going
little
to
dinghy boat. Come.
They were going to come back to the continent.
Yeah.
And they were going to come into Canada. And I was like, I'll drive up to Canada.
Yeah.
And then it was like DC, and I was like, I'll drive up to DC. And then it was Atlanta. So I drove to Atlanta and picked them up.
Dang, that's crazy.
It was nuts. But my dumb ass, I was just sitting here working.
We watched. I remember it coming over the speaker, and then we all got our asses up.
Wow.
It went out because we didn't know what was going on because there was a plane that landed in Pennsylvania.
That's right, and you weren't that far from it.
I'm less than that far from it. So they were kind of freaking out, like, holy shit, a plane just crashed actually right outside of where I went to undergrad. Wow. It was very close to that. So they were kind of nervous about another plane landing. But then we went back into the classroom and we turned on the TV. That's all we watched. The rest of the day was. Huh. We might have had other classes, but it was too. Yeah. It was too unsettling to like focus.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine being in like school or something.
Yeah.
Just me and a few other people, but wow.
Even as like dumbass high schoolers, we were still like, holy shit, like this is intense.
I was in school. This was elementary school. I was in school when the Challenger exploded. We were watching it in class. So I was actually in class, and we were like, that didn't end well.
That was not good. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. So that was not the same as 9/11, but that was. I guess I'm even older.
Do they do that in school now? You talk to your sons
about watching the space shuttle?
No. Well, no, but like we watched like the O.J. Simpson trial, like to learn about the judicial system and how trials work. Like small a tiny little school, we had progressive teachers who like made us do crazy things, like or like watch things.
I don't think they do.
I feel like I feel like that'd be good to
I don't know if they
we're
talk
totally
about
going
stuff.
off track, but I
No,
mean,
there's no track. I don't.
we
I
don't
don't
know
know
what we're
if they
doing.
do. If they, I know they talk about stuff, but I don't know if they
Yeah,
would like watch
yeah,
events on TV and stuff.
interesting.
Yeah.
Because my history teacher made us like,
Make sure.
oh sorry,
Oh, that's why.
it keeps he's moving.
It's not-
Like he made us do like our taxes in history
Really?
class. Mr. Allman, he
In
had a
history class?
farm. Yep.
Well, often I find in
He was
small
like,
schools it's the history teacher that also does economics,
yes,
which is odd.
he did.
But maybe there's
Really?
something there.
Doesn't
Yeah,
make any
same for me
sense.
too.
Math person doesn't make any sense.
You'd think.
Anyway, it's 9/11.
It is 9/11.
How did we get?
I don't know. All right, so this is just the 9/11 episode. Not that that means anything, but we're just gonna.
Yeah.
I've just got a bunch of subjects that have kind of triggered me in one way or another, and I wanted to go through them with you.
Okay.
And fittingly, the first one is this post from Andy Stumpf. So I don't know if you know the name right away. I listened to his podcast. He's the dude who he put out the podcast episode. He worked for CrossFit, and he kind of broke the whole misogynistic, Greg Glassman CrossFit story. He was kind of the guy who kind of came out and said this is all bullshit. But anyway, he's got a great post here about talking about yeah, it's great making your 9/11 post, but really try to live it. Try to not just, I don't know if you can read that. It's kind of small, but I'll try to recap these two. But it's more like people who have different opinions than you, people even in different political parties, they're not your enemy. Your neighbor's not your enemy. Try to just understand and listen and have some empathy. And he's like, don't just do it today, but try to like just live it. You're probably like, yeah, agreed. But anyway, I thought it was a great one to open with, and we'll link these up too when I make the post. But I mean, you just completed a bid for office. I'm sure you saw some or you're on the other end of some disgusting shit, and then also like probably gave your fair share of a fight. You know what I mean? Like, how does this ring for you at all? Like,
yeah, I mean,
like I just presented you with this like your enemy is not your enemy, but like, I mean,
here you go.
Yeah.
Well, what I found was that what frustrated me, and I don't know, and when I talk to elders about their experience in life and the political climate, or since we're talking kind of about politics, but either side, I found that in my experience, I wasn't enough of either way for people. Like I wasn't a Democrat enough. I'm like, what does that mean? Like, I believe you should marry who you want, love who you want, be who you want, identify as you want. I believe women should have bodily autonomy.
Right.
All the things. But because I believe in small business and I have an American flag on I wear American flags and I'm patriotic.
Right.
Means I'm somehow not. It just seems.
See, what is that?
I don't know, but I'm urging Democrat, like however you identify, like the flag is ours. It represents all of us.
Yeah.
It belongs to all of us.
Right.
So I got a lot of shit for not being enough of one way, and I'm like, well, I'm just me. Like
do you think it's like somehow you have a duty to be? I said duty. You have a duty to be very liberal and left leaning because you're a woman? Is that like an expectation?
I don't think so, because most women, I should preface this by saying, women organizations here did not support me. Like women in women organizations, women who I'm gonna just say a lot of women that come off as feminists are not. I actually had a conversation with a mentor of mine last night about this, but she's like, yeah, she ain't no feminist. Like she hasn't supported me. She hasn't supported you. She'll pick any man, and so it goes both ways.
Right.
I don't think it was a woman thing. I think
it's more of a party thing.
It's a party thing. And I think even this year is a crazy year to run because it's like everything is so heightened.
Oh yeah.
And everything is also
we're gonna get there too.
Extremely divided. And that pisses me off because what he's saying is like the rhetoric is so split.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
It's ridiculous. We can't even have like a
right.
middle of the road conversation. Like you're like anti-American if you know what I mean?
Or you're apparently some right leaning,
Right.
uh, Antifa crazy freak
Exactly.
because you fly a flag in your house.
Exactly.
It's weird.
It's very weird.
Right.
So I think it has a lot to do with there's a lot going on right now. I mean, we have a pandemic happening. We have 180,000 Americans have died from it.
Yep.
We have a huge civil rights movement happening, which is, if anyone denies that, come at me because, yeah.
Yep.
What else?
What
Well, I
else?
could just keep going,
What
but
else?
we have businesses closing.
Yeah.
I mean, people are not, they don't have food.
Literal government conspiracies.
Right.
I mean, come on.
It's all,
Yeah.
that's a different,
Yep.
We'll get there. But yeah, I think what he's saying is like, get over yourself a little bit.
Right.
And
It's not us against, it's not zero sum, right? It's not me against you. It's like,
and unfortunately, what sucks really bad is that at this point, it kind of is. You have to, you have to choose. And I hate that.
I refuse.
I hate, I remember when I voted for the
refuse.
first time, I was like, I only get two choices.
Yeah.
But I don't,
Yeah.
neither
It's crazy,
of these
right?
two are really my favorite. Like,
yeah.
Anyway, that's what he's saying. Is like swallow your pride. Like
right.
It's okay to have different opinions.
Yeah.
You can have your own opinions, but you can't have your own facts. Facts are facts.
That's right.
So get the fuck over
right.
that.
That's right. That's right. I dig that.
But
you can have your own opinions, but you can't have your own facts. That's true.
That's
right.
That's how I believe.
All the science deniers. Still science, whether you
I saw a
deny it or
license plate actually the other day. I'm like, I really want that. But on the top of the license plate here, it says "In God We Trust." I saw one in "Science We Trust." I was like, I want that.
Yeah. All right, shifting gears here. So
I've got a couple. Podcast.
I've got a couple of posts here, right? So it kind of started with this guy. So Mike Dolce. This is a little bit older. It's probably from it's from July actually, but he's been kind of pumping this gun. So he posts this post. It's not even about the meme, right? He's really talking about physical health. How do I put this? So he got in some trouble because he posted this. He's like, look, this is not a mask denier podcast. I don't, whatever. We can discuss the efficacy of masks on a whole nother episode. That's kind of dumb. But his point is like, yeah, you got that. You're so concerned with wearing your mask and everyone doing that. But you are 150 pounds overweight. You have diabetes. You aren't doing anything to correct that. So you're kind of lying to yourself. Right. And and it's just like hundreds of people like went after him. Was like, how dare you say something like that about overweight people. Right. And even this is not part of this, but even like Jillian Michaels got in trouble for that. Right. She said something. I forget the exact thing, but it was more like we can look that one up too. But anyway, he's got this one, and then he's got this is one. I think this is the one he got in trouble for. You wear a mask, but don't exercise regularly. Eat well daily. Get bi-yearly checkups. I don't know about that one. That's kind of a bit much, but he's whatever. Manage your body weight. You smoke cigarettes. Act like a divisive turd. You are the problem. The worst type of science denier. Get your act together. It's a little strong, right? But I mean, where do you kind of fall on this in terms of well, here's some more evidence, right? Here's one. It's from Science Daily, right? Metabolic syndrome linked to worse outcomes for COVID-19 patients. Metabolic syndrome is a pretty scientifically nice way of saying you're fat, in my opinion, which is kind of funny. They have a different term for it. And there's another one, long-term outcomes of survivor epidemic, influenza A. And this whole one is about this is just about regular flu, that people who are healthy come out better in the end.
Okay, so
I've said a lot.
You've said a lot. I think that's just scratching the surface. And I think that's a very superficial way to discuss what's happening. Yes, it's true. It's proven that if you're overweight, you have more likelihood of having any kind of disease or virus or whatever. Right. But that's just scratching the surface. If you look at deeper down, I've talked to a ton of health professionals and social activists and people that are on the ground, and from what I've seen talking to people, is that targeted. I send this stuff to you all the time, but there's a reason why certain people are sick in this country. There's a
Right.
certain reason why people are in office, right? Independently wealthy, which happen to be typically older white men.
Mm-hmm.
The same way we have
I'm
higher
tracking.
death rates of tracking. We have higher death rates with black population, with minority population.
Right.
They have lower access to quality food. It's proven that if you have a lower education, you die earlier. It's proven that you die earlier. You're overweight. You're preconditioned to have diseases, and that goes into where money is put into our education system. It's based off a tax bracket. So if you're poor, you live in a shitty neighborhood, you go to a shit school, you get shit food, you're overweight, yada 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 yada. So I think those posts are just scratching the surface. Yes, you're overweight, you could have a chance of
Right. Well,
dying.
the guy sells diet plans.
Right.
You know, hey,
So
there you
right up
go.
his target
Right.
alley. But if you go any further than that, you'll see whether we're talking about health, we're talking about quality of education, we're talking about quality of water. It depends on the color of your skin, your socioeconomic status. Um,
Mm-hmm.
it all goes off of that.
To be clear, though, on most social media, I try not to spend a lot of my time there, but you just can't help it. But most of the time, when I see somebody like reacting, and in that one, I kind of defended him. I went in. It was one of the ones I was like, I indulged in some
Oh
argument.
gosh,
Yeah,
Gene.
it was fun though. But I actually got into a little bit of a DM with him back and forth.
Oh, okay.
Like a direct message. It was really cool. But it was, and I looked at the profiles of the people being negative, and it was generally they look. I'm making assumptions. They look like middle class white women most of the time,
Mm-hmm.
and sometimes it was like clearly like desk jockey nerdy white dudes.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really see a lot of like African American
Mm-hmm.
people being like, hey, like they're just not in
Well,
the
they're
not in the
working. Well,
conversation.
they're probably working 3 jobs, and
Yeah,
they
exactly.
can't be sitting on
Yeah,
social media like these white chicks
What
at
I'm trying to
home.
say. I was kidding.
I mean,
Yeah,
I'm
but
not a black woman, so I
that's
don't
my
know.
point though. They're
But
not
like,
even in the conversation.
well, honestly, I've been talking to plenty, and there's so much. I'm just. Anyway, I'll just say it. It's like, oh, I have to preface everything, but like, they're so sick and tired of talking about this shit.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I got you.
I mean, they're just like, figure it out, white people.
Right.
So you got a bunch of white, and yeah, what I agree, and
let me know what you come up with, and we'll just do that.
Like the thing
Right.
is, like, if you are a middle class person living in the United States and you have disposable income, and there's no reason why you should not be taking care of your health. You have access to food.
Yeah, it's the one thing you can control.
It is the one thing you can control. That I have no tolerance for, and you know that. What I get mad about is the systemic, deep down issues and what was rooted in our country from the very beginning.
Right.
So I think, again, like, those posts just so blanketed that that's only targeting like one group of people. Like, not everyone.
It is.
And that was me like 5 years ago. I was like, wow,
Right.
why doesn't everyone just take care of them? Like, oh wow, they literally can't even get fresh food because there's no grocery stores around them, and they don't have a car, and
Right.
they don't have,
Right.
they have brown water. Like,
yeah, that's interesting.
Does that make sense though?
It does. I'd not considered that side of it in terms of like there's a whole class. I mean, I've thought about it, just not part of my daily like top of mind thought process of like there's a whole class of human being that just they're not even part of this conversation because they don't literally have time for the shit.
They don't have. They're trying to feed their kids.
Shit. Yeah,
and
you think about like even during all this stuff going on now with like COVID, there's like we call them essential workers, and it's like it's like who's this essential for? Like it's essential for them.
Us.
It's not essential for me.
Well,
but it is for them.
We use it though.
Yeah.
They have to work it.
Yeah.
And you see who typically works those jobs.
Right.
And it's minority people. They do the jobs that we don't. A lot of people don't want to do,
Right.
but then that means you have to work 2 or 3 jobs. And I've talked to plenty of those people who, that's
Right. The idea of hiring a dietitian to help them.
they don't have money for
It's
that.
not
They
going to
don't have
happen.
money. They don't have
Right.
time. They don't
Right.
they're trying to feed their kids before anything else.
Hmm.
So I think this scratches the surface. Yes, to a certain degree, but that's only one little target.
Yeah,
That's
it really
one
is.
little niche, and he's trying to sell you marketing or
Yeah.
diet plans.
That's why he's doing it. I mean, he was hitting it super hard, and everybody
Right.
was, thousands of hits on his stuff. I mean, fascinating. It was, but let's I'm gonna leave. Let's just go to this one so we don't leave that one on there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that one makes more sense. There you go. So like, where the hell was I going to say? Yeah, like part of one of these posts is that even Dr. Fauci exercises like an hour a day.
Yeah.
Like, and it's before he was part of this COVID stuff. Like there's articles about him and his exercise regimen and all this stuff. And he's an old guy and he exercises an hour a day, right?
Yeah.
Why do you think that the conversation that like the government's putting out, that like media's putting out, is not about
money?
Do you think that's it?
Money. As long as there's money in, again, this is coming from healthcare professionals. I'm not an expert in this, but I listen to people. As long as money has to flow through pharmaceutical companies, doctors, hospitals, there's no reason, as long as they're benefiting from it.
Right.
Those top like 2 families in the country who own like all the pesticide companies and pharmaceutical companies and data. My brother used to work at one. He was like, you do not want to know what they research about people. So as long as there's money in that for people, then why talk about preventative healthcare?
Sure.
2 people that you're going to probably laugh, but Marianne Williamson, who ran for president,
Okay,
and Tim Ryan, who's a governor in Eastern Ohio.
Yep, I know Tim Ryan.
They both talked a lot about preventative healthcare. And I'll be honest, I've interviewed some people.
Which one was Marianne? Was that the rainbows?
The crystals.
Yeah, the crystals. Yeah.
The crystal lady.
She got like nixed immediately because of the crystal thing. Which, hey,
there's something.
Can't say much.
I don't know. I've met her. She's a very sweet lady. She sat and listened to me for like 10 minutes.
I mean, you say one wrong thing and you're just done. That's how it works.
Well, cancel culture is a different. That'd be a good podcast.
It would be. We can get on that.
I need to do some research on that, but it's true. Like if you we know this. If you pay for $100 gym membership over the course of your life,
right?
You eat relatively well 80% of the time. Your chances of having heart disease, needing open heart surgery,
they go down
drastically, decrease, and that even paying for that over the course of your life is cheaper than having a heart attack.
Yeah,
pretty straightforward,
right?
So why else would not only lining the pockets, of course, because it comes down to money in the healthcare industry. Sorry.
That is a vast conspiracy theory you just threw out there.
It's not a conspiracy.
No, it's just
it's not a conspiracy.
Capitalism is not a conspiracy theory.
It is not.
Right. It is one of those things, I think you call it a fact.
And that's why I loved Elizabeth Warren, because her goal was to break up those big companies, because they own so much of even our food distribution in this country that it's sick.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. So this is another one I thought was good timing after that one. And admittedly, I spent like an hour on Instagram debating people, but but this one, this is Mark Manson. If you don't follow him on Instagram, I kind of recommend you do. He's the guy who wrote How Not to Give a Fuck. Is that I forget the actual title of the book, but it's something like that. It's got fuck in the title, but moral outrage, right? And it's like, it feels right, to be so outraged over something.
Yeah.
But it's actually pretty dangerous when it gets down to it. Because I just wasted an hour on that guy's Instagram page helping him sell more diet packages or whatever he was selling.
You did.
Right. But like,
jeez.
But it's more like this made me think of something where it's like, okay, so somebody does something wrong to you. And you have every right in the world to be just furious, and you let them have it, right? You just like I am in the right, and I'm gonna you're gonna feel my wrath.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It doesn't mean you should. You know?
I don't understand that. Like,
where do you fall?
I'm following out. I'm trying to follow this. So being angry at the internet. Well, I think the internet has allowed people, especially right now in quarantine, even
Right, that doom scrolling
you can literally just
is a
pop
term.
off
Yeah.
and never meet the person in
Right.
person.
Right.
So this is a little experiment I did at work. Try this sometime.
Okay.
So I was working on this really big project. I'm not going to mention the company, but the person who is like their account exec is an asshole.
Oh no.
So we had meetings with them, and we were just doing it over phone call, and he was a complete asshole. I'm like,
Okay.
so I scheduled everything. I'm like, everyone has to turn their camera on. Just as an experiment. So it's
Okay.
not like social media. You have to actually see the person. You have to interact with them. And he
boy.
was as nice as can be.
Yeah.
I'm like, if you're going to be a dick, you're going to have to look me in the face.
You're in his face.
Yeah. So same
Interesting.
thing as like, I feel like social media is like a facade, and you can kind of just pop off and be who you want. And it's easy
That's super fascinating.
to go off, but
Right.
it worked. So I'm going to keep doing that to jerks.
Okay.
To jerks that you work with. Make them look at you in the eyeball.
You know, yeah, that's really interesting, because it's often like that. I find with emails. So
yeah,
somebody will be kind of nasty and like demanding an email, and then like I'll just call them on the phone. I'm like, so we discuss your email. Like they're like, bro, it's all good, man. Just whenever, you know.
The tone of things.
It's funny.
Yeah.
No, I'm pretty sure their tone was crappy.
And then they played it off. Like,
Yeah,
they're like,
yeah,
oh,
yeah.
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
when you're
yeah.
in person, they're like, whatever. It's probably the same thing. So
Yeah.
if you're, especially when you're literally looking at somebody, you're like, I can see your face.
Yeah.
You're being a dick.
It's interesting because we also have a lot of people at the gym, or people that I know are very, very vocal on social media.
Right, but
in person they don't say a word.
Shit,
they like sit in the corner like, what the? That doesn't add up.
Yeah, because they're coming in and you're like, this person's gonna.
You put this like skin on.
Yeah.
On social media, and then you're like a completely different person.
It's like we have two different personalities.
Yeah.
You got your Facebook personality and your real life personality.
Yeah.
It's kind of messed up.
It's kind of messed up.
I don't think I like it.
I don't know if that answered your question, but
kinda. All right. So before we get too much further into these things, I made a post.
Ooh.
I got a little bit of.
Oh gosh, I love that post so much.
Oh yeah. So your lack of dedication is an insult to those that believe in you. So I posted this in the Warrior Mindset, and then I shared it myself, and got some interesting people saying positive things. But you probably don't know this, but there were 4 people that posted some really negative shit.
Did you delete it?
Yeah, well, yeah, I deleted it and I blocked them because I'm like, stay out of my shit. Like my personal page. If you want to do it on Warrior Mindset, I mean, I don't. That's go there and do it. That's fine. I'm not
gonna have that dialogue. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not gonna delete your stuff there. But like, you know.
Let's talk about that post though.
Here,
that was a good post.
Like in my own personal thing, I was like, no, you got to go. So one person accused me of guilt shaming people into listening to me.
Wow.
Yeah, and it was kind of along the same lines, the other 3, and
I
was like, really?
Anyone that I know? Kind of want to take them out back.
I don't know. I didn't know any of them, which was also kind of like jarring because I was like, I don't know who you are.
Can you say that again? Your posts?
Yeah. So let me pull it up here. Let me get this.
Your lack.
Let's see it.
Yeah, we need to see this. These people need to see this. So your lack of dedication is an insult to those that believe in you. See, when I saw that,
what's your take?
So when you have a mentor and you're a mentee, or vice versa, you expect the same effort out of each other.
You have expectations of your coach.
Absolutely. And vice versa, right?
It's not
It's to me, that's how I see that, is like, if you have a coach, you have a mentor. I was thinking of my husband, but he can't coach me and it doesn't work out.
Well, that's a
different dynamic.
Deeper psychological dialogue for husband and wife duos.
Right. But when you have a coach, like, you expect just as much out of them as they expect out of you.
Yeah.
And I've demanded that of all my coaches,
Right.
and they've demanded a lot of me.
Right.
And it kind of it has to be equal though, right? Like if I'm putting in more effort than my coach, which has happened before, I'm be like, what the fuck? Like,
Well, yeah.
come on, man.
Yeah.
Like,
Why are you constantly late?
yeah,
Yeah. Shit like
why are
that.
you late? Why are you
Right.
not doing why aren't you doing what you're telling me to do?
Right.
Um
And
Interesting.
I saw that. I saw those comments from people, and
Mm,
maybe I shouldn't have deleted them and blocked them and stuff. Let people see them. I don't know. I just didn't want it on my own.
sure.
I don't want
Yeah.
negativity on my social media footprint. I just don't want it. Because I sort of dedicate myself to positive.
Mm-hmm.
So I just don't want it there. But I saw that, and then I was like, man, I just feel bad for you that you haven't had an experience
Mm-hmm.
with a coach or a mentor that's positive. That's my read on it. I was like, man, if
Mm-mm. Yeah.
maybe you haven't had someone really demand your best.
Yes. I was gonna say something very similar.
You
They
know?
they probably have never worked with someone that they probably quit.
Yeah.
They've probably
Or they
quit.
probably never
They
started.
probably half-assed something.
Right?
They're probably people that never finish anything.
And I don't say that as a negative,
No.
in terms of like, you didn't like my post, so you're probably a loser. That's not where I'm coming from.
No,
It's more like
they
I feel bad. I'm like,
yeah.
I wanted to be like, well, give me a call. I'll coach you. Like, I will show you
I don't know
what
if you
it
want to.
means.
I don't know
Yeah,
if
but
you
then I
want
was
to do
like,
that.
nah,
I don't
I'll
know.
just delete it.
I don't think so.
I don't need any more quitters. But like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that was really it. And it was just weird to see those pop up
Mm-hmm.
and be like, wow, people really, it triggered people.
Yeah. Well,
It triggered more people negatively than it did positively.
because you're calling people out on their
Yeah.
shit.
Yeah.
And I also see this as
So you see it as a positive
yeah.
post. So did I.
Well, to me, like, and this is side note, but he tested me for my yellow belt on Sunday.
Right. We're training martial arts together. Right.
And sitting outside, I thought, how long have you been trying to get me to do karate? Like a year, 2 years?
3 years. Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know, like,
Yeah.
because when I do something,
Mhm.
and you know this about me, but
You go all in.
I go all in,
Mhm.
and I told you, and I tell this to your face on camera, but I don't want to let you down as a mentor,
Right.
and as my sensei. Like I want
Right.
to level up.
Because you know that on the other side of it, I don't want to let you down as
Oh no,
an
because
instructor.
I know you're thinking about this all the time.
I will do what I have to do to make sure you're getting what
Yes.
you need.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And that's how I see this is like
Mhm.
I know like even coaches at the gym, like we think about our members all the time.
Of course. Yeah. Because
Each person.
Yeah.
So then when they quit, we're like, that hurts
It
us
hurts, yeah.
because we don't see it just as a money transaction. Yes, it pays the bills, it keeps the lights on. We're not like millionaires over here, please.
Yeah, if you
It'd be
think
great,
we are,
it'd be great if we
come
were.
spend some time with me. I'll
Exactly. I'll show you all my bills. But we personally want you to do well. And
Right.
that hurts. Like, because we genuinely care.
Yeah. I
And
don't
so
want to see you give up on something.
don't be surprised if you quit and we're like, well, fuck off. Like,
Well, yeah.
I
You
mean,
just,
that's kind of a defense mechanism because we're kind of hurt. But
yeah. Coaches have defense mechanisms too.
of course.
But honestly, you just quit on somebody. It's like not being.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I don't know. It's really weird. There's a whole bunch of shit there.
Oh
But
man, that's a
but
lot
my
of stuff.
point was
Yeah.
that like I saw it as a positive thing, right? I
Mhm.
saw it as like, and when I shared it, when I put it in one place where mindset, it was as a coach. And then when I
Mhm.
shared it, not that anyone should know my psychology, but when I shared it on my own timeline, I thought about myself as a practitioner, not as a coach. And so I just wrote "yep," because as the person who receives it, I felt the same way. You know what I mean?
Oh, people probably thought you were just.
Yeah,
That's some insecure shit right there,
it
man.
is. It is, and I
Dang.
know that's where it's coming from. I'm not like really. I didn't lose sleep over it, but
Well, I saw it as a positive.
yeah,
Because
it's just interesting.
I've been a mentor. I've been a not a great mentor, and I've learned through that. But I've
Mhm.
also had some really crappy mentees, and I'm like, why am I even doing this?
Why you're not doing?
You're
things
not
that you
doing
said you were going to do,
right.
Yeah.
Like I've tried to help people get jobs and look at their resumes. I'm like, well, send me your resume. Never get it.
You
I'm
never
like,
get
well,
it.
I
Yeah,
can't
you're
help
like,
you.
what are we
I
doing?
can't
Yeah.
help you. So
Yeah,
done.
you're not trying.
Right.
Yeah, I think
You
that's
gotta
the
meet
one
me
thing.
halfway.
You got to try.
Just meet me halfway.
And it's so funny that the bar in this world is so low.
It's very
that
low.
all you have to do, and I'm telling you, if you're watching this and you're wondering what's the secret, the bar is so low.
Just show up.
All you have to do is try.
Just show up.
You don't even
Yeah.
have to win. That's what's
No.
so crazy. You just have to
I
try
know.
and just don't stop trying. And that's it. That's what I tell my kids. Like, you just have to try,
Just
man.
keep going.
And people will reward you because it's so inspiring to see someone just try. And it's like, shit.
What?
Yeah.
What?
I know. It's like what's going on with the world where it's not like,
Mm.
I mean, and I feel like that's maybe it's because I'm I'm getting older and my kids are getting older. I've got a senior and my youngest just started high school, but like maybe that's why. But it feels like it used to not be that way. It feels like when I was younger, it was like you played
Yeah.
a sport. If you lost, you didn't go get pizza.
You won. We went home and
You lost, and the coach was like, "Well, see you tomorrow in practice." You
yeah.
won. You went and got ice cream or pizza. Or whatever. You know what I mean? It's just now it just seems like we're all going for pizza regardless.
I think
You
I've
know what I
mentioned
mean?
this before. This is how I was raised. So I was raised rural Pennsylvania, watching the Steelers, like Iron Curtain, like
Iron Curtain.
hardcore.
Yeah.
Well, you know that defensive line,
Yeah,
the
I
defense,
remember that very well.
dude. Like
Yep.
I grew up in my diapers. Like my first memory was watching football.
Hey, I drafted the Steelers as my defense in my fantasy football league.
Oh, did you
Just saying.
recently?
Just on last Sunday.
Oh
Yes.
gosh,
Saturday.
no, that's a different story. I'm boycotting right now for other reasons. But going back to football, shit, I forgot what I was gonna say.
Mm-hmm.
What were we talking about?
You said boycott and your brain. You boycott and your brain went blank.
Jeez, man, I went off a completely different tangent. Oh, James Harrison.
James Harrison.
Do you remember him?
Yes. Yeah.
And he popped off about participation trophies and
He's not
how
wrong.
he's like, what's with all these helicopter parents and everyone needs a participation trophy? He's like, you
What's that?
lost, you don't get a fucking trophy. Go try harder. It's a good lesson to lose. It's okay.
Right?
Yes.
I mean, that's how you've got to lose at some shit. That's the next thing.
Oh, look at that.
Nice segue. I don't mean the. So it's the same guy. 3 things about success no one tells you. Before you are able to be good at something, you must first totally suck at that something. It is impossible to do something important and impactful without feeling like a fraud, as though you somehow don't deserve it. And then finally, the more a major life decision scares you, chances are the more you need to be doing it.
Mm-hmm.
This guy's like, he posts like 10 things a day and they're all solid gold. You could just do an entire weekly podcast about what he posts. But just the first one alone, right? Like, and I think that kind of ties into the other thing. Maybe why it triggered so many people is that like so many people are scared to start because they're scared of what they're going to look like. And they're scared of what other people's opinions are going to be. So they're scared to suck.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And anytime you start something new, you're not going to be good at it because guess what? You're new. Like it's logical.
Yeah.
You know?
And I think
I see
it's kind of interesting because I did bodybuilding, whatever. I believe if you don't do something every year, then you're not really like the marathon sticker. I take it off my car. I haven't ran one. You know what I mean?
Let's talk about that too in a second.
Because I want to talk about that.
Yeah.
Because I know you have experience with this, like as in karate, with getting you in your. Anyway, you have opinions about this. But I do think that, like, people saw my bodybuilding pictures, like, oh my god, you look so good. By a bodybuilder standard, I did not look good.
Okay.
I did not have a bodybuilder physique. I was
strong.
I was a skinny CrossFitter. I had a
I
6-pack.
you.
Like my physique, if you look at bikini bodybuilders, like that was not.
I got you.
I was not what they wanted me to be.
You're supposed to just be like huge.
No. Well, they want like a sucked in stomach. Like they want certain things.
Say I got you.
And my
the
physique,
aesthetic is slightly.
My physique, literally what I looked like was not what they.
I got you.
But people didn't fucking know that.
Yeah.
Like,
so muscles and big boobs.
Basically.
Yeah. Okay.
Fake boobs.
I got you.
And then a sucked in stomach.
Yeah.
Like I had a 6-pack.
Got you.
Bikini chicks. They don't.
Yeah.
They're built a different way.
Right.
But
I mean, you're just like, I want to crush it. It's like, no, you should just be focusing on like aesthetics.
What happened? I forget.
No, you were the way you worked out. You were just I was crushing it,
dude. I was so toned. Like I look back, all my best PRs are within like 3 months.
That's what I'm saying, but I don't know that like preparing for what you're describing, really PRs matter.
No, but I wanted to because I'm crazy.
Like, fucking doing it.
But I was like a machine, man.
Yeah.
I was tuned in. Now a month out, I was like emaciated and falling over. I was hungry, but
Yeah.
3 months before that, I was
You
fucking
were killing
tuned
it.
in.
I tried to work out with you a few times. It was hard to keep up. Sorry, I interrupted you with the workout.
No, but I did it,
Mm-hmm.
and I think people they're like, "Oh my god, you look so good." I'm
Right.
like,
I could never think of myself doing
I was
anything like
like,
that. And it's like, you totally
you can
could.
do that. Just make it
Right. You just
yours.
have to
Like
do what you're going to do.
I just did it my way,
Right.
and I knew I wasn't gonna win. I didn't win. I got third place out of 3 people. So it doesn't matter.
I don't know.
Like, but I did it, and I could do it again if I wanted to,
Right.
because that what I learned through that is not like winning at bodybuilding, but it was the process. Like,
I got you. Yeah, yeah.
does that make sense?
No, it's the mental
I was
process of
winning at that,
how to
not
prepare, how to do it,
I
then how to
didn't
do it again.
I didn't care about winning.
Right.
And people were like, "You're gonna win." I'm like, I don't look like anything like them, so I'm not gonna win.
Got you.
I knew that,
Got you. It's
but
the
I
journey.
wasn't doing it to win.
It's the journey. It's all in life.
That's some deep shit.
Is it? I don't know if it's deep or not. So let's
Okay, yeah.
let's get
Go.
back to this thing where you say that, like, what you say it. You say what you were thinking
I don't know, what was I saying?
about, like, take
starting
your
something?
marathon, for example. Like,
Oh yeah, that.
you run one or multiple.
I've run a full one. I've run probably 20 half marathons
Yikes.
just through like training and shit.
Well, that's true. But you said something once about, like, you would never keep the marathon sticker on your car unless you ran another one.
Mhm.
So what's the mentality behind that statement?
You can do something.
And I don't disagree with you. I just
Yeah. You can do something once, and then to me, it's like your ethos. So it's like you could have run a marathon and be 400 pounds. You're not. Are you a
right.
marathoner still? Probably not.
Oh, like at one point, and then
Yeah. Like to me, like the same way I took my campaign sticker off my car.
Really?
Yeah,
You did?
I did.
Huh.
I'm hardcore, man. Like I'm like,
Okay.
take it off. And other
Right.
people I still see stickers
Right.
on people's cars. I'm like, no, I'm not. I'll put it back on when I'm running. But like I'm hardcore. I'm hardcore.
That is a little hardcore.
But anything like I don't know. Like I just think that you have to like live it.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Mhm.
And
Yeah. I mean, I understand. I think I understand the symbolism. So you're like, don't constantly celebrate something you did a long time ago. It's sort of like
mhm,
if you're 55 years old and you're like,
mhm.
back when I was a high school quarterback, I
Oh
was,
gosh, that's the
and it's sort of, I
yes.
think it's kind of where you're going with it.
When people do that to me, mansplain me, like, well, I played football in high school. I'm like, I played 4 years of collegiate volleyball. Shut the fuck up. Like, I get people to tell me that like I played in high school. I'm like,
But you don't have a chip on your shoulder though.
shut up. Who, me? Oh my god, I'm just a little bit. But they do. They're
Whatever drives you.
They're stuck back in.
That's why you like Goggins so much.
Oh, I love David Goggins. God,
I think you guys. His chip is a little different, but you both carry the.
Oh, I got a chip on my shoulder.
You carry the weight,
but get over yourself. Like you
Mhm.
played in high school,
right?
You're
still not playing quarterback.
You're not an athlete anymore. Like
right.
you at your heart probably are an athlete, but
right.
You got to keep doing it. Does that make sense? Am I being
Absolutely.
too hardcore?
No. No, but so this ties into. I think we talked a little bit about it, but it's worth it for the show and for me to have on the record. But like, let's take martial arts. You started your martial arts journey, right? So
Mhm.
I have second-degree black belt, and I have lots of friends who do and all this stuff.
I'm a yellow belt.
So in the jiu-jitsu world, there is. I don't want to just speak for all of jiu-jitsu because that would be stupid to do that for anything. But I'm going to just generalize and say that in the jiu-jitsu world, there is a concept that you get your black belt in order to continue to wear that black belt. You need to be able to do all the things that a black belt should do. But then I would say in other martial arts.
What about karate?
It kind of goes both ways. I mean, there's give jiu-jitsu time, it'll get there.
Yeah.
Jiu-jitsu is fairly new in terms of like being popular for maybe like at this level for 10 or 15 years, whereas karate's been around since the 60s, 70s, you know what I mean? So they got a little more time.
Then just put water everywhere.
You got a drinking problem. So they've had a little more time to be more commercial, right?
Yeah.
Jiu-jitsu doesn't necessarily have an after-school program plugged in just yet. Some of them do, karate, taekwondo, more traditional,
Mm-hmm.
they definitely have those.
Does it depend on also who you train with?
It absolutely does.
I mean, that's
Absolutely
the
does.
standard,
It absolutely
right?
does. But I would say I kind of fall somewhere 50-50 on that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because like taking your analogy of a marathon, like because I can't run a marathon, does that mean I can't teach you how to run a marathon? So there's a slightly different component. And I've heard that
No,
same argument
I don't think so.
for martial arts, you know.
I think that those that cannot do teach. I've heard that a lot.
I've heard that a lot.
And I agree.
Yeah.
We won a state championship my freshman year in college, and he never played volleyball. He was a football coach.
Gotcha.
But he was a great
Just
coach.
A good coach.
He was a good coach.
Right.
He knew the sport.
Right.
Never really played. Kind of sucked, actually.
Right.
So not necessarily, but I think
that's
like
a common theme with fighters too, where it's like, oh, you've never fought, so how can you coach me how to fight?
Yeah, I don't necessarily believe.
I don't know.
I think I was coming more from like a self person. Like,
yeah.
I believe people can coach me that have never done it before. Like,
right.
I believe that.
As long as you believe in them,
right,
and they're living the life of the things that they're preaching you.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I think goes into your statement of the you know the 20.6 stickers or whatever the stick number is. But yeah, those annoy me too. But
that's like a self thing.
Yeah,
like
more like a selfie.
It's also like
it's your marathon selfie
when you're like caught up on pastimes, and this is just my opinion, but there's so much more that you can do.
Yeah.
I'm like,
why are you stopped?
What else do you want?
Stopped.
Yeah, that was it. That was the pinnacle for you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, there's so much more to life.
Yeah, why'd you quit?
Why'd you quit? Like, keep going. Do other things. Right. Keep running or whatever.
I agree.
That's more of where I was coming from.
Yeah, I got you. I got you absolutely. Let's see. This one's cool. This is a cool thought. Come back.
Oh, so it's showing it on the screen too?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
I'm trying to be clever.
Man.
So this one's cool. This guy, Paul Sharp. When scientists began measuring the experts' supposedly superior powers with psychometric tests, I don't know what the hell a psychometric test is. No superiority was found, not even IQ. Differences between experts and less proficient individuals nearly always reflect attributes required by the experts during their lengthy training.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's beautiful.
Iron sharpens iron.
Yeah, like just because you're an expert in something, it doesn't mean like you're some kind of savant genius in it. It's just that you've done it a long time.
Well, I thought it was interesting. In the paper that I wrote for my test,
it was a good paper, by the way.
Discipline.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no, not discipline. Discipline can mean a couple different things.
That's right.
And that is also discipline.
Yeah.
To focus on one thing and be an expert within that subject matter.
Yeah.
That's why they call like professors who literally do research for a living. That's their discipline.
Discipline. Interesting.
You know what I mean?
Word. I never thought of that.
Yeah. So there's a couple of different ways to, and I didn't take it that way. That's a different paper, but it's also what I like about the word discipline in the context of like martial arts and life is that it can mean what we think typically is like persistence, doing the work, consistency, blah, 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 grind. But it also means that also develops like a intense laser expertise in a certain area.
Yeah. So easy.
That makes sense.
It's funny how it's an easy track to understanding.
Yeah.
You just do the same shit over and over and
just
over.
Keep repeating it.
Figure it out unless you're like dumb or something.
Yeah.
Like which happens, but like you just keep doing it.
And that's also like wisdom, like
wisdom. Yeah.
What I, even though sometimes, people can be younger than you, like Ibrahim, for instance.
Right.
He's been doing CrossFit for 10 years.
Yeah.
Like,
he's got some
he
knowledge.
knows his shit.
Yeah.
Like,
I listen to him when he starts talking about stuff.
He nerds out, man.
Yeah.
You're like, whoa, where did I come from? Because he knows
it.
Sometimes it's hard because he's younger than me. I'm like, don't tell me what to do. I'm like, oh, you know your shit.
You probably should.
But it's also like we were watching a playoff game, and one of the coaches, I can't remember which one, he was young. I'm like, my God, that guy is so young. He's like, yeah, he's like the youngest coach ever. But he's, some people, it's just You can be young and know a lot
You can
too.
still know. I mean, if you've done the work, you can't deny it, right?
Yeah.
All right, so let's switch to non-digital media. So, if you can see that the newest issue, so I'm a nerd, Black Belt magazine. It's not really a great magazine, by the way.
No.
Don't waste your time on it. Sorry, Black Belt. There goes my Black Belt magazine sponsorship. But it's a great article on Jocko, Jocko Willnick, and I'm sort of a disciple of this guy, as most people. But they're comparing him. The article or the interview is comparing him to Musashi, and you'll get into Musashi later if you haven't already. I don't want to discount what you might have done, but Musashi's a legendary Japanese samurai. So they're kind of comparing him. So, but along the same lines, so most of us cannot begin to understand some of the observations that you made during war. So if you don't know Jocko, he's a Navy SEAL. He ran operations in Iraq for the SEALs. In that place of chaos, how do people get a hold of their emotions and direct themselves with focus? So his answer, and I'll ask you the same question. So in times of stress or competition or whatever it is, how do you keep focus? You know, what's something you do? Or even maybe you're about to get in an argument with your husband or your kid or whatever. Like, what do you do to sort of keep focus and you know, whatever? And he says he coaches people. He says literally step back, like physically, like put your hands in your pockets, take a deep breath, walk around in a circle. You know, that's not bad advice. But what about you? I mean,
dang.
I think about myself.
I feel kind of lame even answering that based off of him talking about war.
Well, yeah, that's the thing.
I mean, like,
don't compare yourself to
I
this
know,
guy.
I know. I'm like, I can't even like begin to.
He's the grand wizard of war shit.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm like, damn. Like, can you?
I mean,
literally nerves of steel. I mean, these people who fight that have to lead, and anyway.
Yeah, I mean,
I like to consult people. Like I'm a crowdsourcer.
Interesting. So am I.
I like to ask. I like to ask a bunch of people and then determine what I want to say. It pisses a lot of people off, especially like during my campaign. I'd be like, "Well, I'm gonna talk to this person, this person." I'm like, what the hell? Like, why you gotta talk to these people?
Oh, so you already talked to me. Yeah, you should have enough info.
Right.
Right.
And I'm like, get over yourself. Like, you don't know everything. So I like to talk to different people, get different inputs.
Politics.
I guess that's not how I work, but yeah, they've annoyed me.
I do that too. I don't know if you have this problem as well, but I do that. Actually, I have I think I've talked to you about the issue I'm sort of contemplating right now. But I've gone to several people, and I always want to temper it though. I'm very careful about not seeming like or indulging in gossip.
Yeah.
At the same time, I don't know if that ever enters your brain.
Yeah, yeah.
Where you're just like, am I just doing this to make myself feel better?
Right.
Because I'm gossiping, and I always try to run it through that filter first, to make sure.
Definitely.
And I'm like, ooh, if I am, I'm like, ooh, I should shut the hell up.
But, well, I tend to like not talk to a lot of people about stuff. Like I'll talk to you, I'll talk to Eve, like
right.
Just a handful of people about stuff to bounce it off of or bitch about or whatever. But yeah, I do feel guilty sometimes about talking about stuff. So I'm like, oh, why are you complaining about that? Does it really matter? Does it?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
Like,
yep. Yeah. Often it's just like, if I'm talking about someone, I want to make sure it's rooted in like taking care of that person, making sure that person's not making mistakes or whatever. If I'm charged with helping them not make mistakes,
right?
If it's about myself, I don't give a shit. You know, it's like I either do it or don't. But usually, if you have problems, it's not just yourself. You know, it's involving someone else.
That's a good thing. I mean, one thing that we've tried to do, like at the house, you know, with your spouse or partner, that has kind of helped is like creating that physical boundary a little bit.
Yeah.
Like only talk about finances like in the office or whatever that means to like create some. There's a sense of like psyche when you have different spaces. Kind of like, you know, you have an office at home.
Yeah.
You shut the damn door, then you're done for the day.
You
helps
get up, you
that
get dressed,
physical...
make your bed, you go somewhere else, right? Yeah, because he in the same article here, he talks about detaching. And I never understood what he meant by that in his book until I read this article, which was interesting. So you know, he's talking about Musashi said, understand the harm and benefit in everything. Learn to see everything accurately. Become aware of what is not obvious. Musashi is very hard to read sometimes, but but the guys ask him, do you see this as detaching? Is that what you mean? Yeah. So the point is like, and it hit me once I read this article, like how often do you not like, if you want to be super sensei, you want to be super, level-headed human, you got to be able to see everything, right? Like the whole, like
the whole
you
picture.
want to be the general, seeing the whole field of play, right?
Right.
But how often do you not see all those details, or you're blinded, or what would they call it, tunnel vision, because you're like just fucking pissed off,
Right.
or like you're so focused on this one thing that you can't see the bigger picture, I think that's what he means by detaching.
I guess, yeah. It kind of reminds me of in The Way of the Seal when Mark Devine talks about front sight focus and then
Maybe it's the same thing.
wide focus.
Yeah.
Like, I think maybe it's talking about that. You have to be able to, like, obviously talk about, okay, if I'm going to shoot a bullet, I need to hit right there.
Right.
But in the great scheme of things, I have people moving over here. I got this.
Yeah.
I got to make a decision. How do I get to that?
Really make sure I don't shoot them.
Right.
Yeah.
So, like, I think it maybe that's what we're talking about here. Is like being able to see the whole field.
Yeah.
At the same time, like you have one mission, and that's like that.
Right. And it's kind of like being in the zone.
Yeah.
You ever been in the zone?
Yeah, man.
Yeah, it feels good.
Feels really good.
But like, what does that mean? Like think about when you're in the zone. Like, do you have that sort of detachment? Like, do you personally? I don't know that I do. I don't know if I'm in the zone. I think back to when I feel like I'm in the zone. It's usually because I'm like super focused on one detail.
That's good.
That's what I feel like.
Yeah.
But I mean, according to this guy in the greatest game around the planet, that's wrong.
I don't know. I feel like when I'm in the middle of a workout or even at work when I'm doing stuff and I'm like, I look up and 2 hours have gone by. I'm like, man, I just got a shit ton of stuff done. And I'm feeling good. Like I'm just making things happen. And I think like in the zone is like you're trusting your intuitions. You're actually the best way I can describe this, in my opinion, is playing volleyball. If you have to think about what you need to do next, you're already too late because the ball's flying at your face at 70 miles an hour. You can be like, am I going to do this or do this?
Yeah.
That's why you practice. You have the discipline to be able to react in those times you get a split second.
Right.
And if you don't react, you're done.
Screwed. Interesting.
Right? Same with war. I mean, shit, you don't have a...
Yeah, well, these guys, they literally die.
Yeah. I'm talking about a volleyball here, but...
It's the same...
that makes sense.
It's a different side of the same coin, though.
Yeah.
Honestly. Yeah, it is. It's just something interesting to think about. I think about being in the zone, as a martial artist, too. Like, how do you kind of tune into the other person,
It's kind of like meditation, like...
Very much.
I'm thinking of, like, basics. I'm very new at this, but... The idea is, obviously to do them perfectly.
As perfectly as you're capable.
But that means not fucking with your hair or tying your belt on, fly lands on your face. You just keep fucking going.
Unnecessary things.
Right. Yeah. It gets to the root of like just detachment. So if you can do like that, then
yeah. It took me. We'll talk about basics. Talking about basics in karate and martial arts, which is just reviewing, doing the very minimal basic things. It took me a long time to get there.
Yeah,
and I think, and I think that's what he means.
Yes.
Being able to detach from the emotions, because
Mhm.
early on I was very caught up in the emotions of making a mistake.
You're like, dang, I messed up. You're like, more push-ups.
yeah. So you make a mistake, you do push-ups, but and I think the push-ups are there to give you like the heat that you need. It gives you the friction that you need to make you try.
It also makes you stop.
Oh, it can reset you. Yes, it can. If you just done 20 in a row. Yes.
Right. It's kind of like missing a play.
Yeah.
And you're like, am I going to sulk for another 10 minutes or am I going to try to get the next ball or whatever you're doing?
Possible that there are different types of being in the zone? I think there might be, because I can tell you that I've been in the zone during basics before, and I think I have been very detached, like just detached from reality. And it's just like, whatever the word is that I need to do, this is the only thing that I'm tuned in on.
Yeah.
Right. Not what they're doing or surroundings or what people might be thinking.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been there. But then I've also felt like I've been in the zone when I'm like sparring someone.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a very different feeling.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's like a feeling of overcoming someone in front of
Right,
you.
because you have to deal with them too.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
maybe there's different things. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't think we're gonna solve it today. Be good if we did. So another question that was posed to him: what makes a good leader? Lesky, what makes a good leader? Not what he said.
I think it
What do
goes
you
back
think?
to your posts. I mean, you expect as much out of
Got you.
you want the best for them,
Right.
but that's also the best that you can do, if that makes sense.
Yep. It does.
So,
It does. Yeah.
and then lead by example, doing what you say.
That was my next thought. Yeah. Yeah. You have to be there
Yeah,
at the level that they want to attain.
it's like,
to lead them.
it goes back, I think, just paying your dues, if you will. Like you lead by example.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean,
you don't tell somebody to stop doing something.
You get respect.
Yeah, you can't be like
doing it.
You need to lose weight, quit eating donuts while you're eating a donut.
Yeah, right.
It's not going to go very far.
Right.
Yeah. So he says, we'll say what he says. He says good leaders are humble, and bad leaders. He's very simple. The thing I love about Jocko is that he's able to like say. He's like a samurai. He's able to say very deep things
to the root of it
and communicate very deep thoughts with like very minimal words. What makes a good leader, Jocko? Good leaders are humble. Bad leaders are not.
Fuck. Well, never mind.
Like,
delete the last 10 minutes of our conversation.
Duh. Right. But it kind of goes into some other things too. So the question they talked about quitters. So why do some people quit when they get humbled or when they feel uncomfortable? Right. I think that's the root of like this entire podcast. But like,
man,
they're talking about quitters, and he was saying like, most people quit when they get like a little bit of adversity. Why is that?
It's like the David Goggins video I
really?
posted. Like,
yeah.
He's like, adversity is good.
Yeah.
You can learn so much. It just depends on how you.
This guy has a shirt that just says "good."
Yeah,
that's what it means.
I love it.
Yeah, good.
I mean,
right?
It's good. Use that to be better. That's, and also people living in the past, like rehashing their past, or it's all I hear about is their past. I'm like, oh my gosh, like
make some future.
Live today.
Yeah.
How you want to be tomorrow.
No kidding, man.
Plant those seeds now and use that. Don't talk about it all the time.
Right.
Like if I went around and talk about my alcoholic father, people would be like, she's fucking Debbie Downer, man.
Obsessed. Yeah.
God, like move, like you learn from that, but then you move on.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people with those in my life. Oh my gosh. I'm like, stop talking about your past.
Rickson Gracie, is a famous jiu-jitsu guy, but make yourself comfortable in uncomfortable situations. Sort of they dug into like training. So when you're training your students, how you get them to overcome discomfort, and I find that to be interesting in terms of like you've coached people, but like I can crush anybody in 5 minutes. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Like I can crush your soul as a coach, or
yeah.
as someone who's giving a test or training you in something. I could beat you up and choke you out, or I could like make you do something that hurts you so bad that you just give up. But that seems like a cop out, like it gives you the way out. Like the true test is to just give that person the right amount that they can handle.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And have them overcome it.
And that takes knowing your people that you coach very well.
Yeah. It's hard to do.
You have to know their limits. Like, or are they just bluffing and you don't really know?
Right. It's interesting. I hadn't thought about that.
Come on, we all know those people who think they can't do anything, and
I know. And they wind up doing it, and you're like, see?
Exactly.
You can totally do those handstands.
It's not that scary. Can do it once, you can do it more than once.
That's right.
Don't show us you can do something. Yeah. It's like learn how to use the mower.
The mower?
Yeah, like growing up, like I start crank the mower on. Like mom's like, okay, good, you know how to use it. That means you can mow the lawn. I was like, dang it. So once you show people,
you just wanted to crank it.
You see someone do a handstand punch, you're like, great, now I'll do 50 more of those. Like, but I can only do one. I'm like, nope, you did one, you can do more.
You can do 50. That's you kind of give me anxiety. That's
You're like, no handstand push-ups.
all right. So the last thought here, they're discussing Musashi, and this is an interesting thought. The true science, I think, no, whatever. I forget who said this in the conversation. The true science of martial arts means practicing them, martial arts, in such a way that they will become useful at any time in your life. Teaching them in such a way that they will become useful in all things. So Musashi says, if you know the way broadly, you can see it in all things, right? I see memes, posts, whatever from, the standard like inspirational people, whatever, and they're so like simple and easy and straightforward. And you're like, well, duh. But like at the same time, a t-shirt from Jocko that just says good on it, it's so deep, right? Because there's so many meanings behind this stuff.
Yeah.
I don't even know what my question is other than like add to that. But like
I mean, this takes me back to like doing production work. Stay with me for a second. But what I learned doing production work, like shooting commercials for TV, it is easier to write, shoot, edit a minute and a half commercial than it is a 30-second commercial.
Right.
It's hard to edit your life, whether that's shit in your life,
right,
whether it's your philosophies, whether that's stuff in your house, shitty friends. Like, it's hard. That's hard to do.
It is. It really is.
To say no.
Yeah.
But also like use less words.
That's hard to do.
It's wise.
It can
Wisdom.
Be. Yeah.
To me, it's like you start with like a barrel of things and then you come down to good one word.
That is the
and
way.
You're like, dang.
Yeah, this is the way. Yeah. But it's also like martial arts, whatever. But what is your medium for learning? You know what I mean? What is your medium for getting to that point? I think that's what a lot of people in life miss. And I found it through martial arts. But like, how do you get there? Like everybody wants this goal of like you're saying, editing your life so it's right. And we all know that. Maybe you don't know, but that's how you get there.
Right.
Like if you have a goal you want to achieve, you have to do things and work and change things and achieve it or whatever. But like, what's your medium? I think most people miss that. Like, what's the glue that gets you there? And we come full circle back to coaches. I think most people look at a coach and they think it's like a silver bullet. Like this is gonna do it, but it just isn't. Like you still have to do it yourself.
Yeah.
The coach is a guide. But like, where do you find it? I mean, you've been working on yourself for a while. You learned some shit.
I don't know. I see it kind of like Plinko. The Price is Right.
Oh, Plinko.
Ding, 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 ding. I mean, it's not a straight line, but you just keep going.
Yeah.
And you just,
I thought you were talking about the game that you pull the sticks out and the ball falls through from it.
That could be it too.
Like,
actually, that's a good analogy as well. I like analogies, but
yeah, Plinko works.
To me, it's like not a straight line. You have to move forward. You either choose to end your life or you just live a day at a time. And you choose
the ball's gotta fall.
The ball's gotta fall.
Right.
Which path you choose.
Right.
You go this way or you go this way.
It's either random or you guide
this
it.
way
right?
or this way.
Right.
Right. So, and I try to do that through everything, whether it's at work. I'm like, okay, today I'm going to take better notes. I'm going to ask better questions. I'm going to, I don't know, do whatever. Or
right.
You can learn through everything.
I think so. I hope so.
I mean, even I try to like gain inspiration from like driving down the road. I'm like, I've tried to change like people. This car, literally, I was driving to the chiropractor this morning. He blew beside me, probably going 90 miles an hour on the median, like on the side of the road on the interstate. Within like this close to me, I saw him coming behind me. I was like, okay, he's gonna do this.
We're gonna do it.
And I'm like, I hope you get where you're going, sir or lady.
Yeah.
But I try to like do it through everything.
Right. Yeah. Instead of just like getting completely irate with this person, flipping them off.
I'm like, dude, you could like run me off the road.
Right. Yeah. So that's back to like you morally right to get mad and flip the guy off.
Sure.
Like what does that really solve?
Going back to the first thing you mentioned was.
But anyway, that's more like what tool set are you developing? Like, how are you developing that tool set? Like, what? How are
Hmm.
you've got a goal you want to achieve. What's your plan? You know, I
Oh
think
my
so many
gosh.
of us just like we just kind of go, I want that, and then it's like,
Hmm.
well, it hasn't happened yet.
Hmm.
Um,
I,
it's
I
debilitating.
I think also, for me at least, I'm a bit of an opportunistic person,
You
and
have to be
to me, and I just mean that like I'm open to doing different things.
right.
Like I was like, okay, I'm gonna try bodybuilding. That was fun.
Yeah,
Like I might do it
it
again.
got you somewhere.
It got me somewhere.
Right.
It got me in great shape.
Mm-hmm.
I look great.
Mm-hmm.
I knew discipline. Like I learned a lot through that
Mm-hmm.
process. Um, or like I want to run a marathon. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna be a really good runner, and I'm still a good runner. You know.
Yeah.
So like you learn things through them. Like okay, well now let's add this level. Let's
Right.
add this.
Yeah.
To me, it's like becoming a well-rounded person
Right.
in a way.
Right. I agree.
If that makes sense.
No, it does. Absolutely.
Just like I'm like, let's do it. Let's
Mhm.
see how far this will take me. I don't know. I'm
Just like,
sure at some point I'll hit limitations with my physical ability or
sure.
whatever, but why not?
Yeah.
Go for it.
Don't be afraid.
One day at a time.
Yeah. Awesome.
Get yourself a mentor who pushes you as much as you
I agree.
want to be
Yes.
pushed.
Yep. Or, or just kind of emulate someone, that you look up to.
Yeah,
You can do that too. A mentor doesn't have to be like an official like blood sign deal,
it's true.
between you. You can just like
Like David Goggins is probably I love him.
he's definitely mentoring you in some way
Fuck.
because you send me his
Well,
stuff all the time.
he also like I've I had to deal with like how direct I am. I'm like, well, maybe I need to be softer.
That dude
That's just
is
not who I
very
am.
direct.
That's just not who I am. When
Yeah.
he speaks to me, man,
Very,
that's
yeah.
how I am.
Yeah.
That's how I want to be with people, but I can't because I'm probably make them cry.
I
But
don't think he cares about making you
no, he
cry.
doesn't. But I just
Yeah.
you find that person, you know. Anyway,
He's the one for you.
he's the one, David Goggins. You're great.
Give her a call, bro. All right. That's today's episode. Your 9/11 edition.
It's good stuff.
Yeah, man. Thanks.
Thanks, Gene.
All right. And dead.